Got an interesting one today, Citation 560XL, and you often hear crews refer to these as the shark lights because they'll light up the sharks in the water if you ditch in the ocean. That's how bright it's supposed to be. No, my phone isn't catching it, but notice it's only that bright. So it's not going to light the sharks up so well if they have to ditch and use that emergency escape and climb over the wing and put the raft in the water, and hopefully the sharks don't get them. So we got to change it. It's pretty simple. 4 screws. I've already pulled them. And then it's just a matter of pick or something small like that, getting in behind the back of it, and the whole assembly comes out along with the pigtail and a connector. Pretty straightforward and easy. Well, next morning, part showed up. It's in the box. We get our paperwork, which hopefully this packing sheet is as good as an 8130, unless, oh, there we go, 8130. That's what you need to be sure you got a legitimate part and not something made in China for no standards except whatever was cheap. And ooh, remove before flight. They even give you a little plastic cover on the lens so that it doesn't get all scratched up in shipping, apparently. Wouldn't want the sharks to not be able to see because this plastic was covering the lens. Got enough wire to go forever. Don't lose that connector or you'll be in trouble. You'll have to take this whole panel off to find it. So I'm going to do the same thing as they did there. Throw a tie wrap on it just to make that short. What do you know? Get a nice blue tie wrap here. Make a nice little bundle out of the wires so they can't get caught on anything or get into anything or chafe into anything. Because that's the whole point of securing stuff, is to make sure it doesn't tie. Because as you know, in a movie, when they throw a whip or a hook line or something like that up, they always catch something nice and hard that they can throw their whole body weight on in the next scene and swing across or whatever. Well, everybody knows in real life that you would throw the line up there, you'd pull on it, it would feel secure, you'd immediately throw yourself, so you're hanging off the rope, and it would come unhooked and you'd fall down and die, and that's the end of Star Wars or whatever. No more Luke Skywalker, no Princess Leia or Indiana Jones or anybody else. And the reality is, though, if you had an extension cord and you needed to just pull it, that's when it would hook on something in the most impossible to undo way that you could never recreate if your life depended on it. That's actually how things work in real life, not movies. Or is it, if your life depended on it and all you had was an extension cord and you threw that to try and catch, something like a picket fence top, you wouldn't hook any of it and you'd fall down and die. That's the reality of how it actually works. So securing the bundle like that just allows me to not have it hook around 25 things behind this panel like it actually would if I didn't tie it up like that. So of course, before we put the hardware in, we're going to go and just make sure that this light bulb is actually any good. So we connect the battery. Turn the emergency lights on. And look at that. they're all on. And yep, now they'll be able to see the sharks nice and bright when they're trying to get out on the wing and get in the raft and not go swimming. And the reason I went ahead and connected the aircraft battery before testing the emergency lights is not because the aircraft battery is the power supply. Emergency batteries power emergency lights. However, the logic that controls them in some aircraft does really weird things if the ship battery is not connected. Like, you might not be able to shut it off even though you can turn it on. And then it turns into a mad scramble to try and find the key to unlock the battery door, to find the battery, because in some aircraft it's not easy to get to. It's up inside the tail or the nose or somewhere else interesting. You know, if it's a global, you gotta get a step ladder to get the one in the nose, because I really think the battery on that aircraft was an afterthought after they designed everything else. So there's one hidden in the tail and there's one hidden in the nose, and neither one is easy to get to, but you need a step ladder for the nose. Though if an electro is hooked up on the nose, sometimes you can just stand on that and reach it if you're tall enough. But it's always better, just connect the ship batteries before you test emergency power, because the last thing you want to do is have to call them and say, oh, by the way, I killed your emergency power batteries. I know when you work on airliners, there's even some, I don't know if it's regulation or maintenance manual practices or whatever, but for every minute that you have the emergency power on, you have to sit with the engines running or the APU running and recharge them before you can leave the gate. Because if you have an emergency, let's say on takeoff, and emergency lights come on, they need to be charged to a certain point, and that's how either maintenance manual regulations, I'm not sure which one it is, but I know that is a factor. Which is why if you have to completely depower the aircraft, some airlines will actually make you unboard, take all the passengers off the airplane before you go dark. Some airlines don't care, but I have run into airlines that do care about it, and it's a big deal to them. And you know, if you have an Embraer or one of those aircraft where the first thing you do is just power down and power back on, you might have to take everybody off the plane and take the delay for that. But here we go, shark light change on a 560XL.